Hi everyone, this is Tara with Tara Denny Images, and I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to brighten the eyes in your images. This is something that I get asked about a lot. I've had a lot of comments about how the eyes stand out in my images, and I just wanted to show you how I get that done. This might not be the best way, and it's definitely not the only way, but it is the way that I know how to do it. So I'm going to show you how. So first I'm going to start with this image of Eve and the succulents. I'm going to go over here to my layer panel and I'm going to make a copy of the background layer, and then I'm going to make a copy of the background copy. I'm going to toggle off background copy 2 and I'm going to work on background copy. I'm going to go up here to image, adjustments, and down to curves. Now you know when you're working in your curves, if you're at the lower end of this arc, you're working in the shadows, and if you're up here, then you're working in the highlights. And so I'm going to drag the highlights up till the image looks super overexposed. But that's what I want. I want the eyes to be as bright as they can be. The rest of the image I'm not worried about right now. You can make them look however you want. I want a little bit more contrast there. I can even drag down the curves a little bit, and so you have a before and an after. You see it's nice and bright. I'm going to tell it OK. Now I'm going to scroll in. I like to bump up the color in the eyes. In real life, Eve has these beautiful eyes. They can look gold in the right light, or they can look bright green. It just depends on what she's wearing and what kind of light is hitting her. So I want to bring that out because that didn't come across in the image like I really wanted it to. So again, I'm going to go up to image, adjustments, and this time I'm going to go down to replace color. And now with the dropper tool here, I'm going to select the color of her irises, and then the second dropper is to add more colors to what you're selecting. And I'm going to select all the colors in her eyes that I can. And you can see over here in the preview that it's selecting a lot of different colors in the image too, but again, I'm not worried about the rest of the image at this point. So I'm going to take the saturation and I'm going to drag the saturation up until I get a color that looks more like what she looks like in real life. And if I really wanted to, I could play around with the hue, really get some crazy. If you were doing maybe a fantasy image, that would come into play. But I like Eve's natural eye color, so I'm going to leave that hue at 0. The saturation's a little bit much here, so I'm going to drag it down just a little. I think 30 is good. And I'm going to leave the lightness alone because I want this to be as realistic as possible. I'm going to tell this OK. And then here I'm going to scroll back out, and you see that it's really messed with the rest of the image. It's oversaturated, it's overexposed, but this is where background copy 2 comes in. I'm going to toggle background copy 2, and here again I have my original image, and this time I'm going to make sure that background copy 2 is selected, and I'm going to drag it down to the little, it's like a little square with a circle in it, and that's called the masking layer. And so what I've done is I've created a masking layer for background copy 2. Now I'm going to mask off only the parts of her eyes that I want to stand out. So when you're masking off, you're using a soft brush, and you want to use black to take part of the image off. And I'm using a 24% opacity because I want to be able to add and subtract just a little bit at a time. Okay, and I'm going to make my brush size roughly the size of her iris. And you see, just with every click, I'm bringing more and more of her eyes out, more and more of that color. And that's probably at 100% right now for both eyes. But you can see that now we've kind of got that laser focus thing going on, and that might be a little too intense for the image that I'm trying to create. So I can do one of two things here. I can toggle to a white brush, and I can take some of that color out. I can make them a little less bright. But then that's not really what I want to do either, is it? So I'm going to put some color back on, And now I'm going to make my brush size just a little bit bigger than her eye, just in the cavity of her eye, and I'm going to mask off a little bit more around her whole eye. What that does is it kind of makes the effect gradual, so you don't have those pinpoint bright spots in the middle of her face. And you see that looks a little bit more natural. And if you want, you can even take some off of her forehead and her nose. That way it makes the rest of the face not kind of stand out so much. Okay, and so you scroll in, scroll out, and as long as it doesn't look off to you, I'm going to toggle off the background copy so you can see the difference. And then you're free to continue the rest of the work on your image, but that is more or less how I get those eyes to stand out. I hope you find this helpful, and if you don't, let me know what I could do better. If you have any comments or critiques, please let me know in the comments, and have a good day. Thank you.